Hello and welcome back to the Ultimate Fighting Casuals. Now, I know we're in a bit of a different spot today. It's because we're trying something a little bit different. It's going to be like a little bit of a series on our channel called like the Casual Catch-Ups or something along that line. Yeah, it's just a general catch-up about what's going on in the UFC right now. We've both realised there's so much going on all the time. Twitter, Instagram, official, unofficial, rumours, all this stuff going out everywhere. And as casual fans, we just thought it would be good to have a hub, a place, a video series where you can come and watch and keep up to date with all the stuff without having to go through every single person's Twitter, right?
Yeah, 100%. There's so much out there and there's so much actual misinformation. We talk about fights potentially being booked or not. So I think just it's going to be a bit longer than our other videos. They're a little less targeted, but just catching up on everything that's going on and what we want to sort of talk about.
Exactly. It's like our personality in the channel as well. Like the other videos are high production. They take a little bit longer to edit, to put all the effort in. This one is really a catch-up video. It's where we start implementing the UFC casuals of our side into these. And, you know, now we've got a few views and stuff. So we just want to run with it. We want to do what's best for us. And I honestly think this is going to be sick. So
the first story this week, unfortunately, UFC 260... Brian Ortega versus Volkanovski is off the card because of COVID stuff. I don't really 100% know how COVID got in the mix. So
yeah, I mean, from Volkanovski's story, I know the full story per se, so we'll go with that. I mean, Volkanovski said that he did a test when he left New Zealand, right? Did a test when he entered the country. Where are they fighting? Is it America?
It is, yeah.
Okay, so he did a test when he entered the country in America. I know it was there. And it was all good. He followed all the precautions, stayed inside the bubble. They tested him on that day that it was officially cancelled, and it was positive, right? Yeah. And they just decided there and then. However, I just don't really understand this, and I just don't really agree with it, in all honesty. I do not believe that you need to cancel a world title fight of the UFC because of COVID. I simply don't understand it. And I also don't understand why they can't just wait in the country for 2 more weeks.
Yeah,
Are we really going to cancel an entire title fight? Everything planned and prepped for it.
How many weeks camp?
Do you know what, mate? I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I think it's a lie. I think it's a really big lie. It's just a weird opinion. It's completely made up. At that point, it's not, and I have any factual evidence. I just don't believe it's real. I don't believe there was a hype behind this fight. No one's really been talking about it anywhere near as much as Stipe and Ngannou, and I think it was completely and utterly made up. He's flew back to New Zealand. What?
Yeah.
You've tested negative for 1 COVID test and you flew back to New Zealand within 48 hours? It just seems...
It does seem a bit odd,
well.
right?
Whether it's from Volkanovski or not, what do you think?
I don't think it's all like a farce.
Yeah, I don't mean it's like a... what's the word? Conspiracy.
Yeah,
I don't mean a conspiracy.
And it's fun to have fun with that kind of fun. But it does feel odd, right? So he tests negative leaving the country. He's in the bubble, lands in Vegas... is isolating,
still
test negative, comes out of isolation and tests positive. It does just feel really weird, but we've seen so much weird stuff going on with COVID, and I think that, like, we say better safe than sorry. Nobody in the UFC, no UFC athlete is actually going to be affected by COVID in the same way that, you know, our nan is. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
We have seen some long-lasting effects with fighters like Cody Garbrandt and obviously Hamzat Chimaev springs to mind. But that is because they pushed themselves while they were still ill.
Exactly.
So from Ortega's point of view, I can get...
I mean, it must be frustrating.
Sorry, not Ortega. It's Volkanovski that's got it. Yeah. So from Volkanovski...
you can understand it, and it might not be his choice as well. It's not really probably his choice. It's the fighters obviously never also at blame. It's if the call's been made by the organisation, the call's been made. Obviously, I'm not just having fun with that opinion. I do genuinely believe the UFC may have called it for whatever reason. If that didn't happen and it's generally because of COVID, that's fine. I'm okay with that. Overall, it's just a real shame that it's not happening.
It's just weird, isn't it?
Shit for the division, shit for everything that's going on. When's Holloway going to be back in? A lot more questions around it now, but in keeping up with that sort of division right now, I don't really know what more to say. We should just see when the fights should happen. Hopefully in May, April, or something like that, mate.
So obviously touching on the 145 belt not being defended this weekend, actually looking ahead to the 135 title eliminator. Obviously, Aljamain Sterling, Peter Yan is still getting rebooked or whatever, but Corey Sandhagen versus TJ Dillashaw, the fight I absolutely wanted in the Bantamweight Bangers video. I am so excited for this one, mate. Excited. Dude,
you've got me fully on the division. I can't even pretend that I'm not excited for these fights because I truly am. I think that was the one.
Yeah.
I think I did want to... there's obviously so many ways you can throw it up and mix it up in the air, but I think this is truly the one. I think Sandhagen's on a insane trajectory right now. When I was listening to him on Rogan, when you hear like a fighter say, yeah, you know what, I could clearly see what I was doing wrong, and then I started fixing it, he's gone win. You think, okay, no, he's found out a trick there. And with TJ coming back, mate, how exciting is it to see TJ back in there, especially against Corey like that? I think that's going to be so good.
100%. He never lost the belt, right?
I know,
I get so excited,
no,
but he never lost that bantamweight belt. So technically, as far as I'm concerned, like he should be walking in there for the strap straight away. But obviously, with the stuff going on in the division, that's not possible. Corey Sandhagen, for me, as close to the champion as he could be.
Yes, and well, listen to what you've just said, though, mate. I completely agree. It's a title fight.
Yeah.
It's a title fight. It's if Aljamain and Peter Yan are not in this division, that's the title fight, and that's just as good. They're literally up there. This division is so crazy right now. I feel like this is going to answer a lot of questions of where we want to see it go next. But I actually also wrote down my notes before this that a loss more, I should say, is actually not that bad on either of these guys' record. I don't think it would mean too much. If both of them was to lose, I still suggest that they're both in title contention. I think they're still completely up there. I don't think that either of them would mean too much for
It's
them.
a little bit difficult, I think, more for TJ Dillashaw.
Maybe so.
I really think a loss affects his legacy dramatically.
Okay.
So it's all about the legacy for him. He went down to chase Cejudo and try and become the double champ, obviously the McGregor-inspired thing, right? He's coming back and he really has a lot of questions at 135. The division is as deep as it's ever been in the UFC.
Sure.
And the three fighters, Corey Sandhagen, Aljamain Sterling and Peter Yan, all could be champions on any given day.
Yeah, for sure.
So ultimately, I think a loss for TJ Dillashaw answers a lot of questions about him. Being out for 2 years, I think...
That's more personal though.
Yeah.
That's way more personal rather than division. I think if TJ comes off a loss here, it doesn't stop him from being in contention for title fights for the next 12 months. Because he's not just here for this fight.
100%.
So it's silly to say. I don't think I would say, he loses it, it destroys his legacy. He's got time. He's been out for ages. For me, he's been out for ages. He's got Corey Sandhagen as his first fight back. That's levels. He's a champion. I agree with mate. He's a champion. That's a champion level fighter. I think that for TJ right now, he needs to come in and get a win.
Absolutely.
You could say more than Corey because of what's on the line here, 100%. Right? But I just mean in terms of the general title contention with all the questions we've got around that right now, I don't think TJ's out of the picture in 2021 for that belt. Because when we did our predictions for where the belt's going to end up this year, that division now is complete guesswork.
Wide open. Blown so wide open. But I completely get what you mean. TJ Dillashaw wins a couple and he's well back for fighting
exactly.
the title.
And if he does lose this, mate, do you know who I could see him fighting? Who else has got booked in that division? Cody Garbrandt,
mate.
I think he's probably the fifth in that division. I think honestly,
that would be their third fight.
Yes, and that could happen, and that could be very plausible. You know, he's talked about him a lot. They've got a lot of beef. It's something you could pull there, right? So Cody's fighting on May the 28th or 26th. It's literally like 3 weeks after the first 135 fight, which is on May the 8th. So it's not that long afterwards to wait at all. We'll definitely know a few more things. I think that Cody's probably the fifth best fighter in that division. I think you've got the main two that just fought, and then I think you've got the other two which we just spoke about. Yeah. I think he's probably the next one there. The loser of this fight might fight him. What do you think, mate?
Well, he's fighting Rob Front, right? Who's really quite decent. He knocked out Moraes in his last fight, but that just speaks to the division. Marlon Moraes, who nearly absolutely took it to Henry Cejudo and nearly took his belt off him.
Which as close as
now
he's been
starts
to
falling
that?
down 100% in that first round. I don't know, if you've not seen it in a while.
Yeah, I have definitely not.
He was getting murdered. Cejudo was getting murdered by Moraes, and then turned the tables and managed to sort of come back and win the belt and go on to fight.
But I don't think Moraes is even necessarily a bad fighter to this day.
So Moraes is really, really good, but he just pushes himself a little bit too hard, and I think he came back, obviously getting knocked out by Corey Sandhagen with a spinning heel kick.
Yes, yeah.
He came back too quickly to fight Rob Front.
Yeah, just too quick. So I don't think he should necessarily be put out of this fight. He's still got 2 months as well, which is still a long time to train. It's definitely a difficult fight for Cody. 100%. I do think he's probably going to end up as the best fighter there. I do think he'll win that.
I think so,
I'm just super excited for this division. I was never into lighter weight fighters, but this division is absolutely fire.
It's electric, mate.
So another fight we got confirmed was Usman versus Masvidal 2, happening on April 25th, which is literally a month, 2 days away. So we're literally 4 weeks out from that fight.
I can't wait.
Just before we get too into it, mate, are you excited for that one?
Mate, well, I am, and I'm not, right? I'm excited to see Usman go out there and defend his legacy, and I'm always excited for Masvidal to get in the octagon. But why is this fight happening now? Do you know what I mean? I know Usman called for it, and I know that... 6 days notice in their last fight for Masvidal coming in, but I just don't think he's done enough to deserve the other shot.
Oh, he's not done anything at all. I mean, Masvidal, I'm going to try not to go too heavy. For me, this is if Masvidal loses, he doesn't fight a top 5 fighter for the next 12 months. That's
He'll
my
fight
opinion.
Diaz again, mate.
Maybe, yeah, go for money
That's
then.
it.
Because
No, but
if
that's
he,
it.
yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
exactly. I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
If he does not win, there is zero excuses, Masvidal. He has to win this fight. There's no loss. Is not an option.
No.
Otherwise, then your UFC career, you're basically just done. Go fight for money, mate. You ain't going near that belt ever again. You ain't getting close to the belt.
No.
You undeserved the fight. You've been scared running away from fighters for 15 months now. You turned down Edwards and he was begging for a scrap. That'd have been a massive fight.
100%.
All you chased is the money. You shouted at the media for 6 days. That was all horseshit. We all know you were training for months. You weren't training in a camp, but you were fucking training.
Absolutely.
It's bullshit.
He was offered the fight 8 weeks before and said no simply because of money.
Exactly.
And it's a sort of similar. I get why you're going to ask for more money, and it does make sense. He's a prize fighter, and he's made that very clear. His approach is less about legacy and being the greatest fighter. I mean, he's 33 and 15 or something.
Sure, yeah.
So ultimately, he's not going to be the champion.
He's
And
not
I
going to be
don't
about
think he
for a
will
while.
be.
No, mate, I don't think he will be. Usman's streets ahead of him. We know
100%.
that.
Usman is elite.
Streets
Usman
ahead.
is
Yes,
elite.
he is. But there's a massive but here, right? And I will ease up on the Masvidal because a lot of stuff I go on him is more like the not personal, but it's more like his business decisions or whatever you want to call it. I think he's just a bit of a huge pussy, and he just will get beaten by people always better than him. I think he always has. However, he can beat Usman. I genuinely think he can beat Usman. Why? Why do I think that? I literally think Usman's as dominant as Izzy, and you saw my opinion on Izzy, right? Why do I think that? I saw Masvidal clip him a few times last year. Whether that came because it was a bit different here and there, he hit him a fair few times.
Yeah.
Usman got dropped first round against Burns,
Yeah.
a legitimate drop as
Yeah.
well, completely legit. And I think it's always something you should say. We always say about heavyweights. If you get clipped with one of those big hands, man, I think Masvidal's got it in him.
It's
What do you
4
think?
ounce gloves.
Yeah,
It's 4 ounce
exactly,
gloves.
exactly.
And ultimately, when these boys go in there, they're 200 pounds on the night.
Do you see an opening though for him? For
I do see
Masvidal?
openings, but the thing is, I think that Usman has given those openings and he's shown them, and I think
He's shown
for
you
him
get
to
through
be-
them,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
For him to be successful in this fight, he cannot give Masvidal the same kind of openings
I completely agree. Yeah.
that he did in his first fight, but I do think that there was an element of Usman being quite one-dimensional in his game plan because of the 6 days notice, because the opponent was chopping and
Yeah.
changing,
No, definitely.
weeks out.
Yeah.
And I think that he fell back to what he absolutely does best, which is control you up against the cage and try and minimise that risk to him at all points by making you push him and you and just wrestle all for 25 minutes.
Yeah.
I think we will see a slightly different game plan, and I think that the more striking element will give Masvidal some holes to try and exploit, but I actually think that Usman will level up on his striking. I think the work he's doing with Trevor Whitman showed in his fight against Burns. That was a
definitely did,
massively
yeah.
emotional fight for him, and I think that they train together. He says he's been clipped by that big right hand in training nearly every time they spar.
And he
So
gets through it
absolutely.
every time.
He's
This
got
says
a
a lot
massive
about
chin.
Usman, doesn't it? Yeah.
And it's weird with these champions, right? We talk about Izzy not being hit and Usman being able to take a punch, but it's not just the one shot that knocks them out.
Absolutely.
And I think we'll talk about it more when we talk about Stipe and Ngannou, but to expend the energy to try and land that one knockout blow is a big risk in your game plan,
It
especially
is.
at the championship level.
Especially when it's against someone like Usman, who probably isn't going to get knocked out from it.
Exactly.
So you're not only doing all those things of putting the risk out there, putting your chin out there, putting your energy and stuff like that, you're also hitting like a brick wall.
Yeah.
You're not really going to get that far with
Exactly.
it. And I think that Burns poses more of a threat than Masvidal. I feel like his
agree.
punches pose 10 times a threat. And if that didn't put Usman down, Masvidal's aren't even, mate.
I think from power wise, I'd say they're probably more or less the same, given
fair.
the knocking, the
The
ways
record, I
they've-
get it.
the-
Yeah, no, that's
thank
fair,
you.
that's fair. Yeah,
the ways
that's
that they've
fair.
sort of gone about their business.
that's
Obviously, Masvidal has knocked out better strikers in Darren Till,
Absolutely.
but I do
I
think
hate that fight, man.
Yeah.
I just want Till to fight that geezer again.
Absolutely.
Really bad, man.
let's just let it happen at their current weights, and we'll see
see.
where it goes.
Yeah.
Because I really think that obviously Till cutting to 170 is the reason he ultimately lost that and didn't
think?
have as much. Yeah, I mean, going back and looking at his performances, I know it's sort of taking it off, but it's the casual catch up. But
Absolutely.
I think cutting so much, it gets talked about like Poirier with the second McGregor fight. Cutting so much does take something out of you, and I think just having a bit more comfort in that isn't always a bad thing.
Yeah,
and
I
on
agree.
fight night, it does pay a bit more
Yeah.
dividends to be closer to your natural weight and fighting than cutting so much.
I completely
water
agree,
out of your
mate.
body. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
The last fight we want to talk about today that's coming up is Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler for the lightweight belt. Obviously, Khabib officially walking away from the sport. Well done, Dana. You finally got the memo.
Yeah.
But absolutely.
I mean, the belt had to be sort of, what's the word, but it give it up. Like it had to
Vacated.
be done. It had to be vacated, right? Thanks. It had to be vacated because Khabib wanted to walk away. It was the right thing to do, right? And before we get into politics and opinions, because that's just the news story, right? That fight has been booked. It is happening on May the 16th, just under 2 months. Super excited for that. I'm genuinely so buzzing. I just want to say though, let's just not blame the fighters here, regardless of opinion, right? These two guys deserve to be in that octagon. Whether it's fighting for the title now or in a few months, we agree there should have been a fight beforehand. Chandler, at his age, has come to UFC and knocked someone out in the first round who we all rated in the top 5.
Absolutely.
And Oliveira has been on a tear like no other. And fair play to him. He deserves to be
Tony
there.
Ferguson as well.
In such a way that was a insane... impressive performance all round. That's
absolutely. He was never in danger though, and that's the thing with Tony Ferguson is that he'll pull you in deep waters and make you overcommit and then pounce and when you think he's hurt and lure you into that false insecurity. Oliveira never fell into that trap.
No.
He was in control the whole time.
Yes.
And to assert his dominance like that.
It was massive, I feel like we saw Gaethje fall into those traps a little bit. I feel like ultimately Gaethje's chin helped him out. I mean, not to say like, just in a way to compare it in the way that Oliveira controlled Ferguson and how we talk about the Gaethje fight and how insane that was. Well, look how much Oliveira controlled it. It was 100%. More dominant, I would suggest.
I'd absolutely agree with you on that. And Gaethje, did he get dropped at the end of the second round? There was like an uppercut.
Yeah, I don't know if he went to his arse, but it was rocked.
I know he was really hurt.
For sure, sure.
I think looking at it, Charles Oliveira definitely deserves this fight.
Oliveira's the one for me out of them two that 100% has to be there.
Yeah.
For me, I'm going to have to be careful with my words now because of everything I've just said, but it's not undeserved. That's the wrong word I was going to use, but it's undeserved for Chandler to be in there with Oliveira fighting for the title. That sits horribly with me. It is. Okay. I literally think that is so unfair. For me, that's Poirier all over. But hear me out. I'm going to get there. I'm going to get this. For me, that's Poirier all over, right? And I have a reason for why I think Poirier didn't take this fight, and I think he was offered it. Okay. If you go next, it's Gaethje. It has to be.
It has to be.
It has to be. It has
Just
to be.
in the lineage of the division.
In the lineage, it has to be, right? But we've gone for Chandler here. Okay, it's fine. Back to Poirier. He didn't take this fight. He was offered this, 100% guaranteed.
Absolutely.
He wanted the money with McGregor, and they all know, everyone there knows what's going on, and they're all happy with it. I guarantee you Poirier is not happy with it.
No,
but
he is happy.
He might have wanted that fight for the Conor fight, though. 100%. I wanted the belt for the Conor fight, sorry. I think that's what he actually wanted. The fact that it's going somewhere else, I feel like he's sort of gone, well, you can go for the money, but we're giving the belt to someone else.
100%.
But Poirier's probably next up if he beats Conor anyway, right?
Oh, absolutely. If he can beat Conor McGregor again,
Within
it says
6 months,
so much about Conor McGregor, but just for Poirier and what it means for him, if he's not in there fighting for the belt, but then again, what do you then do with Gaethje? It's such a mad division. Honestly, I agree with you in the sense that I don't necessarily think that Chandler... I think he needs one more before he's realistically fighting for the UFC belt.
I completely agree. One more.
And I would like to see the Gaethje fight as the one to make.
That's what it should have been for me, but that was it. That right there, mate, was it. Because you have Gaethje lost his last fight to Khabib, and it's been 6 months, and that will still be a few more months, so 6 to 8 months after. I don't really think he deserves that title fight necessarily. You know what I mean? He beat Ferguson and then he lost to Khabib. Oliveira's done that. He deserves it more than me, for me, Oliveira, right? However, I think you should have seen that Chandler Gaethje fight beforehand. One thing I really want to get back to is what about this tournament that we were all planning out?
Absolutely.
We saw that play out in January, so why are we still not seeing that play out? That's completely how I thought it was going to go, and we've had easier answers to these questions, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, it would have just got there quicker. However, I just want to say one massive thing about Chandler, and everyone's giving him shit. Dude, the guy's like 35, 36 years old. He's in the UFC for 12 to 18 months. You might get 2 years out of him. Fingers crossed we do.
Yeah.
But he's not there for long. He's here for the title run, right? That's what he's signed for. He's clearly on a big contract or on like a big deal. They want him in there for that. He came in and knocked someone out in the top 5 in the first round. You've got to get him in there for the title. I can see why they've done it.
I absolutely agree with you. And actually, I think that we might be missing the picture a little bit. Do you think that there is something to them putting these two guys in as the only two guys at the top of the lightweight division who haven't fought and lost to Khabib Nurmagomedov? Do you think there's something to that? Do you think there maybe Dana's got that tiny bit of hope, and I think that's why we see Chandler and Oliveira rather than waiting for Poirier to take care of McGregor? Because look, the belt's been in limbo for so long it can wait another few months.
Yeah.
Or is it just a case of these are the two new dogs on the yard? If one of them can do something, could we see him
I completely and utterly see why
and I'm just saying that more for dramatic effect.
I know, and I completely know. I know, obviously, in a few videos you sprinkle in the idea of like maybe he could be come back for this, but look, I know why you'd say that. I know, but in my honest opinion, I don't have that much faith in them. I believe they've picked hope over loyalty here, and they have, and that is my opinion with it. And they've picked hope over loyalty. That's my opinion. I would prefer, it would sit better with me if Poirier came out and went, I wanted the Conor fight to be for the belt. They said no. I went fair enough, but I still want the fight anyway because it's going to put 20 million in my bank. And I'll be like...
And he'll sell some more hot sauce.
Exactly. And I'll be fair play.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, I want you sorted, mate. I want you happy. I want your life done, whatever. If that's what you got to do, you do it. But with the Gaethje sort of question, no real answer from Poirier on it, it just doesn't sit great with me. No. However, the scrap itself... I'm so excited.
100%. So it's more actually about the politics of this, isn't it?
Of course.
That we've kind of got a little bit of a problem, but ultimately, are we going to be watching, staying up to the early hours of the morning and hating ourselves on the Sunday? Absolutely.
Absolutely. I mean, just really quickly, we will definitely talk about it more. We'll definitely get into it like a week before the fight. But who do you see this going towards? What do you see right now? Just throw it out there without too much of it. What are you saying?
I'm going to stick... My gut just tells me Oliveira.
Me too.
My gut tells me that Oliveira has worked so hard in the UFC, but we've seen him at the very top of the mountain at 145 or just about to be there and him crumble under the pressure. Sure,
but that's what I'm all about, Moz. That's what I've said to you so many times. It's like, I love that coming back. Exactly. Absolutely. Coming back, losing or being down the dumps and proving to everyone else, but mainly yourself, why you are the champion. Here you go, Oliveira. This is it now. This is it. This isn't saying you won't get another title chance. It's not saying you're not worthy for another one. But this is really, truly the time. If you get beaten here, everyone's going to think you're beatable. Yeah. You know, people are going to look at you and think, that's twice now.
You can get to the top, but you can't get further. Exactly. And that's just how it looks. Yeah. And that is fighting. He's put together an incredible run in the deepest division in the UFC. Obviously, claiming the scalps of Tony Ferguson. I really think he can do it. But, oh my God, Michael Chandler is so explosive and scary that... I just feel so anxious actually predicting somebody. Yeah. But
I mean, I do think Oliveira just is a safe one. But like you said, the Chandler, like, I will not be sad if he loses either. No. I'm happy with an either winner 100%. Here. I think the explosiveness of Chandler is just as exciting as the control and the technicality of Oliveira. Absolutely. It's going to be an absolutely banging matchup. All of these are pretty banging matchups. I'm just looking forward to the actual fights themselves. And I just can't wait for them to start kicking off.
So that's the end of today's video. Thank you very much for watching. Obviously, a little bit of a different style, but actually more sort of natural to us. We are good friends in real life. Hopefully it translates. But yeah, just putting ourselves out there a little bit more and just having a bit more casual of a video.
Yeah, just being more ourselves, mate. Just doing more like stuff that is actually sort of, I wasn't going to say our real names, like Nee and Moz there, you know what I mean? Just a bit more us, a bit more of our flavour and personality in it. So we hope you did enjoy it genuinely. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe and definitely comment. I just want to say that we don't get many comments. No. I don't care what you want to say whatever you want. If you want to let me know something constructive, please do. You know, we're always looking to improve and get better. We genuinely do. So yeah, thank you so much for watching today. Moz, anything from you at all?
Follow the Insta, thanks.
Absolutely, down below. So yeah, thank you very much for watching and we'll see you next time.